You might
This
want to hit.
conference will now be recorded.
Hi, I'm Dr. Annette Cargioli, and I am known as the Forgiveness Doctor. I am the creator and developer of a brand new, well, it's not brand new, it's actually over 25 years old, but it's gotten some great reviews by people who have used it. It's a technique, and it's completely different, called emotional polarity technique. It is completely different. It's a different approach from energy work. It's a different approach from talk therapy. It's a different approach from drug therapy to basically find and resolve the unresolved conflicts in your life that are impacting your stress in your life today. So the conflicts from the past that are now haunting you in ways that you don't even know. And so by watching these videos, you can learn a lot about how forgiveness resolves unresolved conflicts and changes how you feel immediately in most cases. And then because of that, it changes the outcomes you can produce in your life with a lot less stress. So that's what we're going to be doing. It's emotional polarity technique. It's called EPT for short, so that when you hear me say that. One more thing I want to say at the start of this, if you're watching this video and you are interested in getting a free session of EPT just like this, please just message us on this page or call us at our office and say, I want to get an EPT session, one of those online, and we'll get you set up. Right now we're doing 2 a week. Sometimes we do more, sometimes we do less, but we can set you up and get you an appointment for a free session. So today I have Catherine, and Catherine, we've talked a little bit already about she would like to work on a situation she's got in her life, and now I want you to tell me what it is.
Okay, well, I recently retired a couple of years ago, had another part-time job, and it didn't end well. I mean, and it was good, but it didn't end well. So now I'm just really having a real struggle with even going online to look for other opportunities. I won't even go to the computer and look because I just have such fear of rejection and just total
Wow.
fears it won't work out. Um,
Does it feel like fear as in I'm really afraid, or is it more of an anxiety that it just, ugh, like anxiety type of feeling?
yeah, it's anxiety that I'll just have to, once I'll get another job and it'll be just as disastrous as the last one. The last one I had some really bad bosses, really bad. They really took advantage of me and humiliated me and in some various ways. I mean, they weren't mean, but they were mean. I mean, it's just that passive aggressive
Mhm.
kind of stuff. And I came from a very, very successful job with a very large money manager, very successful job. And then they seemed like they were intimidated by that, but they didn't. So they always were putting me down, and I'm going, why is this happening? And then they would kind of set me up for failure and everything. And then they finally, at one point I just said, well, after 6 months, I said, I don't think this is going to work. They said, no, 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 we really want you to stay. So we'll have you do this job and everything and blah, 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 and everything. But they did everything they could to, several different people. It was just, everybody in the office was weird. So it was just a really bad situation. It really tore down my self-esteem. I don't even think I can do anything anymore. And here I am, a person with an MBA, and I'm serious,
Yeah.
NASD licensed, I'm insurance licensed, and I feel like I haven't got a cotton picking skill in my life left. So anyway,
Okay. Even though your head knows you have a great skill set, you've got a good history of working well and doing good for companies, but because of the loss of this recent loss of your job and how they treated you at the job, you're kind of frozen, not even
yes,
able to look on a computer. I'm thinking some of that anxiety or that fear is coming out in some of your self-talk, which is what you just said. You said, I can't do anything. Like you're saying lies about yourself that aren't true, but your head tells you that's why you don't want to look for a job.
well, that's what's so
Because,
scary is I really do feel they're true. I don't really feel like my skills are not there. I'm thinking, what would I do? What would I do? I mean, I failed at that last job. So what would I do for any new employer? I mean, other than just sitting there taking up space. I mean, I know I
But
sound crazy, but
well, I love that. I love that you know what you're saying is crazy, even though it feels like that's the language you need to use right now. So what we're going to do, so we're going to start by testing. So our focus is going to be the fear and anxiety that is crippling you and preventing you from moving forward to even look for a job that might be something you would enjoy and thrive in. So
yeah.
that's our focus. And I'm going to start by doing what we call rapport. So if you had magnets, we would have you use the magnets, but I'm going to use the magnets and you're going to use your hands. So we're going to start. I need you to put your hands on either side of your head, and you're going to breathe in while you squeeze together and breathe out. So use both hands.
I'm holding up my phone with the other hand.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, you're going to be needing your hands. So you might want to prop your phone up with something. A book or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that looks great. You look great. You look absolutely beautiful.
Oh, you're so
So
sweet.
I mean, just so you know, everybody doesn't like look as good on camera. You look great.
Oh, that's good to hear. Yay.
Yeah, you do. Your lighting is fantastic. It's beautiful. Okay, so put your hands on either side of your head, and
Okay.
then you're gonna, as you squeeze your hands together, squeeze your head, basically, you breathe in. So breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And then next, you're gonna take your hands and you're gonna put one on the front of your head and one in the back of your head. And on this breath in, you're gonna lift toward the ceiling on the breathe in. So breathe in and lift, breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in and breathe out. Okay, that's all we had to do with that. Now I'm going to use, the next thing I'm going to do is just kind of get some measurement. So I want to ask, the level of distress as you would measure it if on a scale of 1 to 10, your subjective units of distress, which is your SUDS is what it's called. If you had to say if 10 is the most distressed you feel about and how you feel very distressed is the word. I'm anxious and distressed about looking for a job or the fear of what my future is going to hold and if I'm going to go through the same thing again. And maybe it's true. Maybe I'm just not good enough. So what's your level of distress on a scale of 1 to 10 when you think about that?
Pretty high, probably 8 or
Oh,
9.
wow. Okay. So it's an 8 to 9, and I'll muscle test that as well.
Okay.
I get a 9. So I got a 9 on muscle
Oh,
testing.
cool.
Yeah, so it matched your 8 to 9 muscle test. And then I'm going to ask if there is an elation factor. There is, and that is, I'm going to muscle test the elation factor. That would mean that a person is actually addicted to this state of mind. So they have, even though they don't like it, there's something that their mind sees as beneficial for having that thought. So your subjective units of elation are 0 to 1. So you're not addicted to the mindset, is what that's telling me.
I'm surprised I'm
Uh,
not.
yeah, so it doesn't mean that your brain keeps going and defaulting into those negative thoughts because it has some pleasure or some benefit in it. That's not happening. So your
Okay.
subjective units of elation is very low. It's a 0 to 1. The next thing I'm going to test is what stage of healing you're in. And it's stage 2, which is anger, which means that you've probably been, I'm angry that I'm feeling this way when I know I have skills. And, why am I putting myself down so badly? Why did they put me down? And I'm angry about it, but then I bargain. So I'm thinking I will get up, I'll breathe, I'll do whatever I do to make myself feel better. And then I still can't go on the computer because I feel so distressed about it. So that's where you get to depression. So the stages of healing are in the book, The Forgiveness Doctor, and also on this neat little card, 7 Stages of Healing. And what we want to do is get you to light emerging or acceptance or creation of new life. So right now you're at stage 2 of 7, which means you probably hit the wall of depression a few times and you just haven't resolved it enough to move forward. So the next thing I'm going to check to see is if you are congruent with the ideas of showing up. Nope. Okay, show up, pay attention, tell the truth, let go. Showing up and letting go is not congruent. And let's see. So showing up, I just started reading a book. I'm about halfway through, and it's an amazing book, and you might want to read it. It's called Sacred Pace. And it is so, it covers this show up, pay attention, let go from a spiritual perspective. So I'm going to throw that in for you because I think it would be meaningful. So show up means.
Can you share a little bit more about what that means? Show up, let go, whatever you said?
Yes, show up, tell the truth, pay attention, and let go. And they don't all have to be in that order. It's just what I'm looking for is if you fundamentally are struggling with one of these things or more than one, we want to make sure we balance you and get you okay with showing up. What I'm going to tell you about showing up, it means that I'm struggling from the perspective of this book and a spiritual perspective. It would say, I'm struggling with showing up for my creator. Like, I don't know if my creator is showing up for me, and I don't know if I want to show up for my creator. So it's from a spiritual perspective, show up says, I'm not having quite the faith in the unseen creator of my life that I would like to have, that I've lost some faith, maybe because I went through this hard stuff. The let go would be where I find, well, show up, pay attention. So paying attention means everybody in that place didn't hate me. There were people who saw my value, but I didn't see them because I wasn't paying attention to them. I was only paying attention to this other group. And then pay attention is another thing. The other thing is tell the truth. So telling the truth says what you've been already doing. Like, you're fine with telling the truth. You said, I have an MBA. I'm really good at what I do. These are truthful facts about me. So why am I so flaky about my true reality and falling apart because of an experience I didn't have any control over? So that's the tell the truth, and you're good at that. And then the other one you're not good at is letting go. So usually you have to be able to show up, pay attention, and tell the truth before you will actually let go. Meaning you can say the truth and be in the neutral. So you're like, you know what? I don't beat myself up because I don't feel like sitting in front of the computer and looking for a job right now. Right?
Yeah.
And I don't avoid the computer. Right now you're telling the truth. I'm avoiding the computer because it raises my distress level and it makes me feel horrible things about myself. So I won't go and let go and open the doorway where if I'm truly showing up for my creator and my creator is showing up for me, and I believe that this show up is part of who I am in my existence, then there is no fear going to the, looking at the computer. I become a whole lot more neutral because I know that the big guy is on my side, that my creator, the ruler of the universe, is here for me now. And that's all in the pattern of showing up. So that's what those are about. So 2 of those, and what I'll do is I'll use, excuse me, I will use these words and statements as we go along, so that we can help you to be more secure in showing up. So in that sense, from a spiritual perspective, I can see how this would be very dominant. It's not a circumstantial thing that you don't show up. It's a spiritual issue that you don't show up. that you're afraid to show up. It's a spiritual issue. And that you don't let go easily. Like, I'm not letting go easily. If I truly understood the capacity of God's love in my life right now and how it's pouring in me and I felt it, letting go would be easy. It would be so easy. So, all right, so we're going to go.
I don't know if you need to know this, but it's been a big issue in my family for a long time. Well, with me and it's been contributed to me by my parents as well in different ways. So I don't want to go into that, but just want to let you know it's not just this issue. I mean, just not this event that happened. It's
Right.
other things, right?
Right.
You probably
Right.
figured that out, right? Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right. I mean, immediately I'm already thinking, if I've got an issue in my ability to believe in a God who loves me unconditionally and is there all the time, I probably got parents who maybe didn't give me that experience.
Right. Right. Okay.
So, yeah. So, absolutely, it's gone along, but I do think I know you well enough. I mean, I know Catherine, and I've
Yeah.
done a little bit of EPT with her, and I've been on a cruise with her before,
Yeah.
so I know her a little bit. And I know that she is a godly woman who knows that it's going to take a spiritual force to help change a lot of the things in her life. She knows that, and she works on that. So we're going to look at what the energetic and emotional things are, and then intertwine that with the spiritual truths that will also foundationally help her to see the world in a completely new way in her life. All right, so let's see. So anger. So how many issues do we need to do to get you? I'm going to ask over the hump of forgiveness, or not forgiveness, of depression, because the stages of healing are denial. Everybody has a hard time with their parents, or everybody has a hard time with a job like this. And then anger is, why, even though I performed really well, why did these people not like me or mistreat me or just treat me badly? I don't even know why. And it wasn't fair. And that makes me really angry. And then after anger is bargain. And bargain is where the person says, you know what, I'm just going to do my job so well that nobody can criticize me. And they still criticize you. And you're like, what do they want from me? That also sounds a lot like a parent and a child. And then after bargain is depression. That's where the person just goes, you know what, it's never going to change. I just need to accept that I can't do anything right for anybody. It's never going to go my way. I'll never have this feeling of accomplishment and relationship that I hope for. And that's where you're hitting the wall in depression. After depression, and that's where you actually start to open your heart to love more than you've ever been able to love before. You get to love the unlovable in your life and in people that you never thought you could love. After that point is acceptance, and acceptance is the part where the person says, I know I've got a lot of, I know that I don't have a job right now, and I accept that. I know that it wasn't really my fault that I lost it. It wasn't my fault that I ended up in a job where they treated me badly, and I know that it's going to get better. And I'm not afraid to look, because there's a God who loves me, who's going to be backing me up on this. And this divine being of my God is nothing like my parents or my boss. Nothing. Nothing. And then after acceptance is light emerging. Light emerging is kind of like just before you deliver a baby. There's painful days, but then you notice that there's days where you don't feel, I don't feel bad at all. Like, it's okay. I can push this baby out. It's going to be okay. But on those days that are good is actually, I believe that is where God is working in your life, and he's bringing it all together, even though you're just going, I feel good, but I don't know how this is going to end up. But I'm not worried. I know it's going to be okay. And I know there's a new life coming, and it's not me dying on the side of the road. So like, I actually have hope for something better than I can even imagine. So those are the stages of healing. So I'm asking how many issues, and I got two. We're going to do 2 issues. hopefully. I might be able to get both of them wrapped up in one little issue, but we're going to see how that goes. So you test, it's only a few things that are keeping you from this moment of, more happiness and acceptance of the love God has for you and showing up for that love God has for you and being willing to show up and love God in that moment. I mean, that's the show up part. So, how many issues? Two. First issue, love, family, current, self. And, oh, lost and vulnerable. You feel lost and vulnerable. Concept. Okay. So I feel lost and vulnerable. I'm going to start with where we're at. It's because, I'm going to throw in some reasons. Okay, I can spell this. Okay. I feel lost and vulnerable. And so what this means is that's the first emotion that kind of comes up when you think about looking for a job. Your brain says, ugh, lost and vulnerable. And then your mind backs it up with all the negative thinking. So I want to know, like, my guess is just with what you told me, I feel lost and vulnerable because I've had bad bosses and it's going to happen again. And I don't know how to change it. Does that all fit? Like, this has happened repeatedly in my life and I don't want to do it anymore. It's going to happen again and again.
Yeah, it just, well, I learned something from that thing is that I need to recognize when things are going off track. I mean, before, I don't know if this is important to share, but I learned something that if things are going on off track with a situation, I need to step up and analyze it because I typically kind of like, well, I have most of my life, I just put up with it. I just endure, and I really,
Yeah.
towards the end, yeah, I just endure and then I get, you know, ejected with a big kick in the butt, and I should have taken, taken authority over it and faced it right away. So
Right.
so I learned that.
Almost
Go ahead.
like you see it coming now, but it doesn't feel any better just because you know it's coming.
Right, yeah. So
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 there's,
I it's more of an acceptance thing. Would somebody accept me now? And because accept me and give me just a tad bit of training and let me go back into the work field again.
all right, so it's I'm not accepted.
Right.
And I feel lost and vulnerable because I've been disappointed um, with the people who were going to help me out or hire me. I've been seriously disappointed with those people.
Well,
And it's a feel.
it's the
Go ahead.
it's the humiliation that I endured there because I get this a lot that how would I make it quick? Uh, well, they were humiliating me because of for some reason I intimidated them because I came from a very large successful company. They're a small office of about 10 people.
Yeah.
So and as well, I felt like I did nothing wrong, but I did everything wrong. Well, I don't know.
Yeah. You probably didn't do what would prevent them from humiliating you.
Yeah, I don't
All
know.
right.
I'm confused about
But
that. Sorry.
in your previous job, the big company, did you go through the same thing or it was good?
It was really good for a long time until towards the end. And then I was burnt out. I had a lot of stuff going on personally with my family and different things like that. And then I started losing my edge, and that's why I retired early. So it was good until the end, and then it wasn't.
So
It wasn't bad.
yeah,
It wasn't
right.
bad like this.
So this current job, the one that you just lost that has really taken your mojo out of you, it's kind of a new situation as far as jobs.
Yeah, and then it just feels it builds on other failures that I've had, and don't want to go into that at this time. But yeah.
Well, right. And I'm thinking even when you retired early, there was stuff going on in your family that you didn't feel real competent at.
Well, yeah, I got really killed on a couple of things, which is a long diatribe. Yeah,
Yeah.
I was
Or
taking care.
cheated or just
Yes,
not
yeah,
not not included in a respectful way.
yeah. I was taking care of my disabled brother. My mother was taking care of her, but then care of him. But then she passed. I started taking care of him, took over conservatorship, and then one brother who loves to. He wanted the power, he wanted the money, and so he just got me killed in court after, you know. And I've never done anything wrong, and he's just lied and stole money right and left, and that was going on at the same time I was leaving my last job. So it just killed me. So that was what it's
Right.
built on.
And then you walked into this weird situation, which was a part-time job,
Yes.
and it just, and losing it, you felt all the failure of with the brother and the and I did
Yeah.
all of that, and I could have stayed if I didn't have all these entanglements in my crazy family.
Right. Yeah.
I could have
You know,
stayed in the job longer.
yeah.
All right. So I feel lost and vulnerable. I'm not accepted, humiliation. And then the words you used were, I endured it. I
Yeah.
endured it even, and I still didn't get credit for that, enduring it. Um, yeah, so we're going to start with this is this emotion and lost and vulnerable. Let's see, red. Okay. So I need you to put a hand on your, and if I was using magnets, I'm actually not going to use magnets. I'm going to use the magnet covers just so people who do this work will know what I'm doing. So I'm going to have you put a hand over your heart right in the center of your chest, and then a hand over your forehead like this. And then we're going to think about, I endured there. I feel lost and vulnerable because I just had to endure all of this humiliation and disappointment. Breathe in and breathe out. And breathe in, breathe out, and breathe in, breathe out. Oof, okay. And then are there any other, oh no other emotions, just that emotion, lost and vulnerable. And
Oh,
is there an original, so I'm going to ask, is there an original time you felt this? Yes. Conception to birth, birth to 5 to 10, 10 to 15, 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 40, 40, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, age 49.
49.
So
49. What
you
was
were
it?
working at your previous job then, I'm guessing?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this is where you felt like you were enduring. So how old were you when you retired?
65.
So this is long before that.
I don't remember 49 being that bad. I mean, I would start, well,
What was with your family then?
families, ooh, I don't,
So I'm asking, is it lost and vulnerable? It's not at work. It's with a friend, family, with dad. I feel lost and vulnerable at age 49 with dad.
okay.
And it's the same thing because I endured that.
Yeah,
And
that was the big deal. I had to endure the crap that dad gave us, you know, that's the
but
whole thing.
so I'm wondering if the reason, like you were doing well at 49 in the world, but you were upset, like it occurred to you that you had not been treated really fairly by your dad or your family in some sense, and you're thinking, I feel lost and vulnerable because I endured so much that I didn't have to.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
That
yeah,
that wasn't
endurance.
fair. It wasn't right. I mean, you
Yeah.
may have been having the aha that I'm successful now. And those people never gave me the time of day. My family didn't see me as successful. They just, they acted like I was this person who they could mistreat.
Let's try to remember when did, my dad,
49, think,
I was
yeah.
trying to remember, he died in 97. So I was that 49? That must have been before. Well, I was just never accepted by him in any way,
But you
shape, or
don't know. So do you know if this was, how did he die?
form. Cancer,
So,
liver and
so
kidneys.
you knew he was going to die.
Yeah. I see he got, no, I think he's died in 1998. Yeah, I think that's 98 or 99. I can't remember. So that's, oh, okay, 69, 49. Okay, you're good.
He
That's when
would
he
have been
died.
49. Perfect. Well, you're good because you came up with a significant event that happened when you were 49. Um, and I got that it was dad. So at 49, I feel lost and vulnerable because I was never accepted by dad.
Right,
And now,
right,
and, and now that he died, I'm never going to be accepted by him.
right.
And other people accepted me, but not my dad. And then he just died. Were you with him when he died or anything?
No, no, I had seen him a couple of days before he died. He was in the hospital, and most of us were there. And I think that 2 days before, or the day before, most of the family was around him in the hospital. But he didn't talk to me at all, and he was talking to everybody else. And then we
He
got, I
didn't
think,
talk to you?
no, well, 'cause there was a lot of other people around his bed, and I didn't get that close to him. I didn't. Well, yeah, there were other people around him. I didn't get close to him because I never was able to feel safe to be close to him. So I just continued my usual staying away from him.
So
I
he's
was
dying. He knows he's dying and he has no words for his daughter.
right.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, that's him. He was a psychotic mess. He was
Wow.
really.
So did
We
he
couldn't.
give any words to your other siblings?
He may have. I don't. Because like I say, I wasn't there with him when he actually died. But at that point, that was the last time I saw him alive. He was talking to everybody else in the other room, and they were all
Did
leaning
you
over.
did you say anything to him?
No, I don't think. I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure it was very minimal if there was anything at all.
Wow. So you didn't even lean down and kiss him?
No. Oh no. No.
Oh,
No.
wow. And did you live in a different state or were you in the same area?
No. He lived in Northern California, and then that's when I lived in Virginia. Yeah, Virginia.
Wow. So you had to take a trip out there to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Did anyone thank you for coming?
Oh no.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
Yeah, that's the typical that, and that's the minor thing. I mean, I took care of my mom's estate. I continue to take conservatorship for my disabled brother, and no good deed goes unpunished. So it's been going on since
Oh,
2007. So
wow. I'm writing that. No good deed. They just they're not very good at this relationship thing.
no,
And
no, not at
it's
all.
all right, unpunished.
It's
Did
just
you did
who
you
can I take
ever
care
in your did you ever in your life have a good relationship with your dad or a good moment
of? No,
that you can
no,
remember?
no. I mean, I have a couple of memories where they were relatively nice. I mean, like he tried to teach me how to shift it the gears in our Jeep. That was a relatively benign moment. That wasn't bad. And then I was in a vocal competition and he drove me there. But I think he did it for ulterior motives. And then what was the other thing? A couple of things like that. I think, one time, yeah, I think I already said that. One time he was helping me learn how to drive a car. Um, for a little bit, but that's the only good things I remember. um
So nothing at like Christmas or no,
no, I know.
nothing.
No, he well, I hope this isn't too much information, but we didn't. I think the last time I got Christmas gifts was in third grade, and
Whoa.
yeah, and there may have been, but I just don't remember them. And then the saddest thing was, I remember when I was in my late 20s, we were at my one brother's house and for Christmas. So there was me and my three brothers, and we were giving out gifts, and I got a candy cane with chocolate kisses in it, you know, and my other brother got something really just as cheap. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. I think my other brother got something really cheap, and then the youngest boy who's been causing me all the legal problems, he got $150 tennis, Michael Jordan tennis shoes. So we all got to open up our $3 gifts while we watched him give our youngest brother $150 Jordan tennis shoes right in front of us. So I always remember that. Can you believe that?
No,
Can
I
you
can't.
$3 gifts? Watch your brother get a $150 gift.
Right. And nobody said anything to him?
No, no.
Wow.
And I
Wow.
remember another time when we were there for Christmas, we were at another place, and then as soon as I walked, I had again flew across the country, and I walked in the door, and then he went out the door real quickly, went to the drugstore, came back with a really cheap bottle of perfume, probably again another $3, and gave it to me in the plastic bag, not wrapped.
Did he
So.
give any gifts? Did he give gifts to your mom?
Oh no, yeah, that was the biggest thing. My mom, he treated her like a slave on so many different, as a slave, I shouldn't say like, as a slave, and I don't remember him ever giving her a gift, ever, ever,
Wow.
ever. Poor woman, what she put up with, I have no idea.
And
Well, I
what
do.
did he do? What did he do for a living?
He was a pastor.
Wow. I was
Yeah,
thinking you were going to say he had an MBA. No, he was a pastor.
yeah, and life was fairly good until he left the pastorate. And then things got really, really bad. Then he became a teacher, and then things went really bad. So he left the pastorate when I was junior high and high school. No, yeah, junior in high school. Yeah, then things went really off the wheel, off the track. Yeah,
And he became a teacher.
yeah. And then this is really bad. He was a perverted teacher. He was a little dirty old man too. So he was really off the tracks.
Well, he may have been doing that in his pastorship too.
Could have been, yeah.
You know, and that may be why he left, because people found out and he thought, uh-oh, there's too many people watching here.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow. So he stayed with your mom for life. So when he died, he was still with her.
No, she divorced him in uh, when I was 27. Yeah, she divorced him because he came home
And
and kept giving her the crabs. So anyway,
did he remarry?
no, no. I mean, no, I don't think anybody would put up with him.
Oh
He had a couple.
my.
Yeah.
And did your mom remarry?
No, she was so happy to be free from his tyranny and oppression, and
Wow.
yeah, and I really feel bad. I always wanted her to marry somebody who would be nice to her, but no, she was done.
Wow. And she had,
Yeah.
yeah, she didn't know when she married a pastor that it was going to be so bad.
Well, he wasn't a pastor when they got married. He was in the military, and then they then he came back, and for some reason he decided he wanted to do that, and then he went to college when I was a little baby, and then started his pastorate. And like I say, things were good, fairly good, until he left the ministry, and then yeah, all hell
And then
broke
it just
loose.
went, yeah, it went really bad.
Yeah,
Did he serve in the military in a war?
yeah, World War II. Yeah, he
Wow.
was in the Navy, and his brother got killed in the war. He was on a ship that got blown up.
So he has some post-traumatic stress.
Yeah, plus, I don't know if you want to know all this information, but my grandfather, he was in World War One, and he got injured, and he got in the hospital, and he got hooked on morphine. And and then that wrecked his family because he was a drug addict for a long, long, long time. And I think the kids got sent out to foster care, and so he probably had a pretty bad life himself too. So, but then
That
my
was
grandfather, I'm sorry.
that was your dad's father.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
But then my grandfather got saved. He became an evangelist, and I think that's why he wanted to become a pastor because I think he probably wanted to please his father, but it didn't work out, and I think he went crazy.
Wow. Wow. Okay. Well, I think we're ready so it's at 49, I felt the same lost and vulnerable because my dad died and I had endured so much in this relationship, and I got no acknowledgement at all. I got
Right.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. Nobody even said thank you for traveling from Virginia to California for this funeral.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So, let's see. Phase 1, phase 2. Okay. So this is phase 2 trauma for you. Probably what that means is that you check out really easily and you go numb and feel nothing. Because to feel something would get in the way of you doing your job at age 49. Like you couldn't go to that funeral and think about the truth, or you couldn't think about the reality that my dad, I endured this family and this is it, and he doesn't even have words for me. My own father. Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Well, it could
right.
have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse. So I just thank God it wasn't worse than it was. At least I
Right.
wasn't sexually traumatized. I mean, he tried, but luckily he didn't get away with it.
Right. So you're one of the people who said, no, that's not happening.
Well, actually, what happened was my mother told me, like when I was in junior high, no, wait, high school, no, sophomore, freshman, or whatever. She told me, she denied it later, but I thought, no, that's got to be right, because she said that my father asked her. He said, "What would you do if I had sex with Catherine?" He asked her that,
Oh,
and she said, "Well, of course, I'd have to call the police. I'd have to turn you in. We're
yeah.
just. And so that stopped him from thinking he had a clear shot to abuse me. So thank God for my mother.
Wow, that is amazing. Good for her.
Yeah, that's
That's
something.
amazing. She drew the line with you,
Yeah, thank God that she had
which is
to do
so,
that.
yeah. All right. So you're going to do kind of like tapping on your head just to wake up your brain while we say statements. So you're going to repeat after me, and I need you to say, I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I have to feel lost and vulnerable
that I have to feel lost and vulnerable
because at age 49,
because of age 49,
my dad died,
my dad died,
and it was like nothing to me.
and it was like nothing to me.
He hadn't been there for my life,
He hadn't been there for my life,
hardly at all.
hardly at all.
And when he was dying, he had no words for me.
And when he was dying, he had no words for me.
And I had endured his crap,
And I had endured his crap,
his hatefulness and alienation
his hatefulness and an alienation
and humiliation.
and humiliation.
And even in the end, he didn't say I love you
And even in the end, he didn't say, "I love you,"
or give me a blessing of any kind.
or give me a blessing of any kind.
There was just nothing.
There was nothing.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I can't show up for
that I can't
I
believe
can't show up in my life
I can't show up in my life
because my own father wouldn't show up for me.
because my own father wouldn't show up for me.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I can't show up for my life
that I can't show up for my life
without feeling all of this humiliation.
without feeling all this humiliation
And I want to say, and the lies I told myself
and the lies I told myself
that I'm just not good enough,
that I'm just not good enough.
I'm unlovable.
I'm unlovable.
I'm not attractive.
I'm not attractive.
I'm unlikable.
I'm unlikable.
I have no value.
I have no value.
So even if I have a big fat degree, it doesn't matter.
So even if I do have a big fat degree, it doesn't matter.
And then breathe. I forgive myself
I forgive myself.
for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I need a blessing from my dad he can't give.
that I need a blessing from my dad that I can't get,
No, that he can't give.
that he can't give me,
Yeah. Or I will forever have to endure this pain.
or that I will forever have to endure this pain,
I will be humiliated
or that I will be humiliated
and believe the lies
and believe the lies
that I told myself
that I told myself
to rationalize his neglect
to rationalize his neglect
of me, his daughter.
of me, his daughter.
And then breathe. I love and accept myself.
I love and accept myself.
If you want to bring your arms down and they're tired, it's okay.
Okay.
But put your hand right here over your heart and like right under your collarbone, like that. And you can rub those points or just hold your fingers there. You don't have to rub them. So I love and accept myself,
I love and accept myself,
even though I have endured the lies that I told myself
even though I have endured the lies that I've told myself
just to justify
to justify
my dad's neglect and alienation in my life.
my dad's neglect and alienation in my life
And abuse.
and abuse.
Yeah. And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that I have to continually tell myself these lies
that I have to continually tell myself these lies.
um, so that I can justify my dad's alienation and abuse in my
So,
life.
so I can justify my dad's alienation and abuse in my life.
Um, yeah, so I can love him.
So I can love him.
Yeah, so I can be a good girl and love him. So I can be a
Mm,
godly woman and love my dad. I'll
yeah.
take the blame. It's because I was not good enough for him. I would never be. I wasn't attractive enough. I was not smart enough. I wasn't exciting enough. I wasn't valued enough. And so I tell myself those lies so that I can be a godly woman and be respectful and loving of my abusive dad.
Mm. So I'm telling
So,
myself the lies to justify what he did to me, to mentally justify what he did to me.
right. That means if it was my fault, then that also makes me more in control because maybe I could change this and then he'd be nice. But I can't control him. So I'm trying to control myself by telling myself these lies, and then my brain works overtime on trying to fix my self-hatred, my self-judgment, my harsh words toward myself, which are just there to justify what I couldn't change in him. I'm letting him
So,
off the hook.
so I'm trying to fix the situation by putting the blame on myself and hoping I
Right.
can fix myself.
But you're fixing the situation of your ability to show up and love your dad the way he is. The problem isn't your dad not loving you. The problem is you're faced with is a spiritual crisis of God tells me to love everybody, but I don't want to love him. He's hard to love. So my brain comes up with a plan. If I beat myself up and I take the blame for how he behaves, maybe he'll change, but he doesn't. And then he dies. without changing. And I'm left with this plan that I had to beat myself down, to be the blame, because if it's my fault partly, or almost all of it's my fault, then I have the freedom to be able to love and accept him like a godly woman should.
Mm.
So your guilt and shame is coming from the fact that you hate this man who is your
Oh,
father.
I
And you
did
are
for,
you're half your dad. So it's like you're hating yourself instead of hating him. You just
oh,
replaced it.
yeah.
You see it?
Mm. Mm.
Yeah. That's what your
Never thought,
brain is doing. It's doing
yeah.
that to you. And when your dad died, it was like it's a waste of my time now to hate my dad. I don't want to be that person. He's dead. He can't do anything to me. I'm not going to hate him. He's my dad. I'm not that person who hates her dad, no matter what he did. I don't want to be that person.
I was
So
so,
my brain is
I was so relieved when he died. I mean, after it happened, I mean, I wasn't like that when he was dying, but after it was gone, it was like, phew, this mean,
right
horrible
because
person
I'm
is gone.
right and right. I'm free. I don't have to hate him anymore. But my brain is still using that as your protection. Only now it hates you.
Oh,
I'm still so now when something comes along like these people being awful in your workplace, your brain resorts to you know, I'm going to be the good person, but I really want to shake them down and tell them what terrible people they are. But I can't because I couldn't do it with my dad and I can't do it with them because that would not be good for me. So I'll just really overperform and then they still boot me out. And
yeah.
now I'm thinking it doesn't matter what I do and I start hating on myself again. So
Mm.
it's a coping mechanism that you created. A tiny part of you wished your dad would actually change and be nice, but you really didn't believe he would. But the challenge you had was I'm carrying around all this hatred for someone and I don't know what to do with it. It's just not going away. He's not getting any better. He's not any nicer. He's not changing. And he's making me have to look at a part of myself I don't like. I don't
Mm.
want to be the person who has a grudge against her own birth father because he didn't do all bad things for me, but he definitely didn't show up and tell me he loved me. And he was a cheater as a person and he just he's a liar. There's a lot of reasons not to like him, but your character is I don't want to be I'll just go numb and then I don't feel that part of me that easily really hates my father. And then you start hating yourself in replacement. That's what happens. The brain is still going, well, I've got to like put myself down or hate myself. And you know what? You know what you said? You go, I feel like it's real. Like I really am this loser. I feel like I really am unlikable or unlovable. I feel like it's actually real.
Mm.
The reason you feel like it's even though I'm a reasonable looking woman, I'm a nice person, I'm a hard worker, I'm a smart person, all that, but you feel like these thoughts about you are real because about your dad they really kind of are real. He was a loser, he was a jerk, he was a cheater, he was unlovable and unlikable, he was socially awkward. He was all of these things. It's totally true. Now you're wondering, is it, I keep thinking it's really true about me because you haven't confronted that you felt that way about your dad because you don't want to be that person.
Well, I never thought of myself as being, I mean, I obviously takes two things to make me as a person get created, but I never thought of myself as have one half him. Um,
Yeah, you
so I
are
really,
though. You wouldn't be here without him.
right, right.
You wouldn't be here. You are half him. So, all right. So we're going to do some statements about that. I wanted you to kind of get your head around that because I understand why you would hate this man. But I also know that holding that hatred and never truly resolving it and accepting that I am no better than him, um, in the sense that I have also sinned. I have also done things that are wrong. I am not perfect. So I am no better than him. I'm human, just like him. And
Well,
until
let me say this. I mean, I used to, like 20, 30 years ago, definitely hated him. Definitely hate him.
yeah,
Now it's just sadness. I don't really hate him. I don't hate him.
right,
I
right,
don't hate him. But it's just
right,
sadness of the
right.
lives I ever had.
That's it. That's it. So I forgive myself for holding on to a relationship with a perfect dad who loved me that never existed.
Say that again.
I forgive myself
I forgive myself
for holding on
for holding on,
to a perfect relationship with a father who loved me
holding on to a relationship with a father who loved me.
that never existed in my birth dad.
Do you remember the old TV show Father Knows Best?
Mhm.
I used to watch that like a fiend.
Oh, wow. Because you wanted him to,
Be like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you
And
remember.
yeah, so I forgive myself for holding on to an image of my birth dad that doesn't exist.
I forgive myself for holding on to an image of my birth dad that never existed.
I let it go
I let it go
to open up space
to open up space,
for a relationship with my Heavenly Father
to open up space for a relationship with my Heavenly Father
and all the love
and all the love
He has for me right now
He has for me right now
and through my whole life.
and through my whole life.
And even when my dad died,
And even when my dad died,
my Heavenly Father
my Heavenly Father
was perfect
was perfect
and loved me
and loved me
and was there for me.
and was there for me.
And my Heavenly Father was there for my dad too.
And my Heavenly Father was there for my dad too.
And then breathe. I forgive myself for believing
I forgive myself for believing
that there's, yeah, that I'm gonna have that, yeah, that I will, that when my dad died,
that when my dad died,
I I lost all opportunity of having that love.
I lost all opportunity of having that love.
The love that was like in that TV show.
The love that was in like that TV show
Yeah, that I thought was normal.
that I thought was normal, that was
And then
achievable.
yeah. I say yes to this feeling of lost and vulnerable,
I say yes to this feeling of lost and vulnerable
and humiliation,
and humiliation.
and I call it up and release it
And I call it up and release it
from my body, mind, and spirit
from my body, mind, and spirit,
to God's love and mercy.
and accept God's love and
And
mercy,
yeah, I release it to God's love and mercy.
and release it to God's love and mercy.
And then breathe. I forgive my dad for not being capable or willing to give me even some small words at his death,
I forgive my dad for not even
for being
caring or
incapable or unwilling.
for being incapable or unwilling to give me
Some
what
small words of love
some small words of love
and appreciation
and appreciation
before he died.
before he died.
I forgive him.
I forgive him.
You don't owe me anything, Dad.
You don't know anything.
Yeah. And then breathe. I let go of the debt I held with my dad,
I let go of the debt I held with my dad,
the emotional debt he owed me,
the emotional debt that he owed me,
and that opens up space
and that opens up space
where God, my Father,
where God, my Father,
can make the wrongs my birth father did to me right.
where God can make the wrongs my birth father did to me right,
And where God can make the wrongs that happened in this job right.
and where God can make the wrongs that happen in this job right.
And then breathe. Without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I can stop telling lies about myself to myself.
I can stop telling lies about myself to myself,
And repeatedly wounding my own self-esteem.
and repeatedly
Wounding
wounding my
my
self-esteem.
own, yeah, I can give that up.
Self-esteem. Say that again.
Without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I can stop wounding my own self-esteem
I can stop wounding my own self-esteem
over and over.
over and over.
Yeah, yeah, in an old coping mechanism,
In an old coping mechanism
structured to fix what my dad wouldn't fix.
structured to fix that my dad wouldn't fix.
Well, yeah, and then breathe. I ask God to release from me
I ask God to release from me
and to help me let go
and to release and
from
help me
me,
release
let
from me
go
and help me let go
all of the unresolved anger and vulnerability
all of the unresolved anger and vulnerability
and the loss of the good father I hoped for.
and the loss of the good father that I hoped for.
I ask God to release all of this from my body, mind, and spirit.
I ask God to release this from my body, mind, and my spirit.
And then breathe. Wow. Ah, you're doing great. Without this pattern,
Without this pattern,
I don't have to feel afraid of the same problems.
I don't have to be afraid of the same problems.
I don't have to feel afraid of bad bosses.
I don't have to feel afraid of bad bosses.
I don't have to be afraid of being set up for failure.
I don't have to be afraid of being set up for failure.
All because
All because
I couldn't get my dad to tell me I was valuable and loved.
all because I couldn't get my dad to tell me I was valuable and loved.
And then breathe. Oh yeah,
Yeah?
that's really good. How do you feel?
Good.
Yeah, good. All right, I'm gonna test these things. Okay, so stage of healing. Oh, yes! We got to stage 7 on stages of healing, which means you're in creation of new life, which means that there is going to be places for you to get into a workplace that is better maybe than anything you've ever had, is what I'm thinking. And
Sweet.
yes, and you have the skill set. I'm just going to tell you, you know that, I know that, and you can feel confident with the skill set you have and your ability to add to that skill set if necessary, quickly and easily, because you're that kind of person. Your subjective units of distress on this going to look for jobs on a computer, or I don't even know the hell that's done anymore. I would have to like research that first. So distress, it went from a 8 to 9 to a 2, and subjective units of elation for looking up a job, that went to a 3, which is good because it means I'm not like flatlined. I actually am mildly okay with looking it up. And then let's see, where am I at? I got stages of healing. Oh, show up, pay attention, tell the truth, let go. Let go, yay. Okay, so I want you to think about that your job ended. How does that feel?
Better.
Like
Yeah,
what kind,
surprisingly.
so you're not jumping into the lies you like to tell yourself for your dad. It's not for the job, it's for your dad. Yeah. And how about when you think about going and looking for a job, or looking about how to look for a job, is that like, does that feel better, or do you know?
It does feel better. I don't know why, but it does.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, that was incredible.
Yes. Yeah. I never would have thought you would have
Thank
gone
you.
that way.
I'm excited that, yeah, that you're going to have a new job soon.
Yeah. All right. I claim that. I claim that. Yes.
Yeah, well, I
Steve it.
think there's a lot of shuffling happening in your industry, and good people are rising to the top. So they have to clean it up a little before they can put the other people in. So just relax a little bit and know that there's cleanup happening. There are people going away to make room for those who are love and light to take that place. That's just what's happening right now. So
Okay.
it's going to happen. And you are qualified. You are so qualified. All right, let's see here. You might want to drink some water today, like drink extra water. You might feel tired. You might notice over the next couple days that you have some other like click, click, click. Um, Perfect. Thank you. I'm going to hit my record button now to stop it.